When Joy Bryant drove down the long dirt road leading to her family's old cabin in North Florida, the world felt older than she remembered. The trees leaned closer to the narrow trail, their twisted branches scraping against her car like bony fingers. The road itself seemed alive, pulsing under her tires, whispering her name through the wind. It had been 20 years since she last came here, yet the forest felt as though it had been waiting for her return. Her father still lived there, in that sagging wooden cabin surrounded by marsh and moss. Once, it had been her great-grandfather's escape from the noise of the world, a place meant for solitude and peace. But solitude had long since turned into something else, something darker. Joy had come because her brother Jesse called, his voice heavy with concern. "Dad's not doing great," he'd said. "He's forgetting things. Sometimes he doesn't even remember Mom's name." Joy had promised herself she'd go, but she hadn't been prepared for what she found. The cabin looked like it was collapsing in on itself. The porch was crooked, the roof half caved, and vines had crawled through the cracks like green veins feeding on the rot. When she stepped inside, the smell hit her first. Old wood, mildew, and sickness. Her father sat by the window staring out into the trees. A wool blanket draped over his frail shoulders. His skin looked paper-thin, his breath shallow, and his eyes distant, as if they were trying to remember what they used to see. "Dad," Joy whispered softly. He blinked, squinting up at her. For a moment, confusion clouded his face. Then, recognition broke through. "Joya," his voice trembled. "You came back." That night, she made him soup and sat beside him as he ate in silence. The sound of his spoon tapping against the bowl echoed through the cabin like a heartbeat. Between coughs, he talked about her mother, how he couldn't remember the sound of her laughter anymore. "I can't even picture her face," he said, tears trembling in his eyes. "It's like she's fading from me." Joy wanted to comfort him, but her throat tightened. She remembered something she'd buried deep inside her, a memory of the woods, of a secret place that once made her believe in miracles. The wishing pool. When Joy was 10, she used to spend her summers in those very woods with a local girl named Natalie. Natalie was wild and fearless. She knew every hidden path, every creek, every whisper the forest made. One humid afternoon, they stumbled across a strange spot between two ancient oak trees. The air there felt still, heavy. At the center of the clearing was a shallow pool of dark water, perfectly still, even when the wind blew through the trees. "That's the wishing pool," Natalie said, her eyes wide with the wonder. "You can make a wish here, but you can't touch the water. If you touch it, the wish turns bad." Joy laughed, thinking it was just another one of Natalie's ghost stories. Still, she knelt beside the pool and whispered her wish. "I wish we had a dog." Natalie did the same, and together they tossed small coins into the dark surface. The ripples shimmered, then faded. The next morning, when they came out of the cabin, a stray dog sat waiting by the porch, muddy, wagging his tail, eyes bright like he'd been waiting for them all along. They named him Lucky. For weeks, Lucky followed them everywhere, through the woods, to the lake, even to town, until one day he was gone. They searched for hours, calling his name, but found nothing except paw prints that disappeared near the wishing pool. That evening, Natalie came to Joy's window, her face pale. "I wished for something else," she whispered. "I wished my parents would split up. I didn't mean for it to happen this way." A week later, Natalie's father was killed in a car accident. Her mother moved away soon after, taking Natalie with her. Joy never saw her again. The memory hit Joy like a cold wind. That night, after her father fell asleep, she sat in the dark, listening to the forest breathing outside. The night was filled with insects, the distant croak of frogs, and the faint whistle of the wind through the trees. The same sounds from her childhood. Maybe it was desperation, maybe it was hope, or maybe it was something darker calling her back. But at midnight, Joy found herself standing at the edge of the woods with a flashlight in one hand and an old penny in the other. The air grew colder the deeper she walked, and the forest seemed to close in behind her, sealing her in with the past. She reached the clearing. The two oaks were still there, massive and silent, their roots entwined like the bones of giants. The pool was smaller now, covered in a thin layer of leaves, but still unnaturally still, reflecting the moon. Like a mirror, Joy knelt beside it. Her hands trembled. "Please," she whispered, voice cracking. "Let my father be healthy and happy again." She tossed the penny into the pool. It vanished soundlessly, swallowed by the darkness. For a moment, nothing happened. The forest remained silent. Then, faintly, she thought she heard something. A whisper, low and almost human. But when she turned, there was no one there. Just the rustle of trees and her own trembling breath. She returned to the cabin, feeling foolish, but somehow lighter. For the first time in years, she fell asleep without fear. In the morning, the silence felt strange. The coughing was gone. The sound of struggling breath, gone. Instead, she heard something unexpected. The steady, rhythmic sound of an axe splitting wood. Joy's heart raced. She ran outside. Her father stood by the chopping block, sunlight gleaming off the blade as he swung it through thick logs. His back was straight, his skin flush with color. He looked strong, impossibly strong, like the man she remembered from her childhood. "Dad," she called out, "you shouldn't be out here." He turned. For a moment, she saw his face clearly, the healthy glow, the strength in his smile, and she felt tears of relief rush to her eyes. But then something shifted. His smile faded, replaced by confusion. "Can I help you?" he asked politely, his voice calm, unfamiliar. Joy froze. "Dad, it's me, Joya." He studied her, tilting his head slightly. "Joya," he repeated slowly, as if the name was a word from a language he'd forgotten. "You remind me of someone. My daughter had eyes like yours." Her breath caught in her throat. "Dad, it's me." But he only smiled gently, turned back to the chopping block, and split another log in half. She stood there in disbelief, tears streaming down her face, realizing the truth she didn't want to see. Her wish had worked. The wishing pool had given her father back his health, but it had taken something in return. It had taken his memories. It had taken her. As the day faded into dusk, Joy sat alone on the porch, listening to the rhythmic sound of the axe echoing through the forest. With every swing, the man she loved seemed to drift further away, his laughter foreign, his eyes unfamiliar. She looked out toward the dark line of trees in the distance, where the wishing pool waited, still and silent, and for the first time, she understood the truth Natalie once tried to warn her about. The wishing pool never gave without taking.